Yo, my name is Paul. I was really fortunate to get to do the video game Rise of the Golden Idol, do all the music for the base game and 2 of the DLCs. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Pro Tools and this particular scenario, the music for it. The scenario is from the Sins of New Wells DLC, and the scenario is Raid. The name of the track is Warehaus. So let's check out what's going on here. Here's my Pro Tools session. And I compose in Pro Tools, and I say compose because I went to music school for jazz performance on bass. I didn't study composition. I studied music, but was not a pianist, and I didn't study, I didn't study orchestral arranging, so I studied other things. So I say composer. I mean, I know what a real composer is, I would say I'm more of a producer than a legit composer. I have to get orchestration books out and to get the ranges right, but I know the basics of arranging and things like that. So I'll say that as a bit of a disclaimer, but I don't want to insult the people who got their degrees in composition. They have deeper knowledge. But I've been producing music for a long time, so I work in Pro Tools, and that's not. It's quite. I think it's industry standard for recording in studios, multi-tracking instruments in studios. I think it's industry standard for mixing, but it's not considered the strongest DAW for MIDI, and I agree with that. However, I will say I've always been able to get Pro Tools to do what I want it to do when it comes to MIDI. So I think it is competent, and it maybe gets a little bit of a bad rap. I think the biggest downside of Pro Tools isn't so much working with MIDI, it's just integration with your operating system software and getting everything to work to make Pro Tools stable. I'm currently running, let's see, what system is this? This is Pro Tools 22.7. So I'm 3 years behind on my Pro Tools version, and I'm in Sequoia. And I believe this is 15.7, the fully updated Sequoia. And I don't think it is as stable as 15.3, an earlier version of Sequoia that I used. I think that was a little better. But so for people who are wanting to do Pro Tools and compose or write in MIDI, I think Sequoia 15.3 and Pro Tools 22 are pretty stable. Stable in Pro Tools world stable. I can't vouch. Logic and Cubase may be way more stable. But so that's probably enough about Pro Tools. But I do like it. I'm going to say this also. The reason why I work in Pro Tools is because I like to mix in Pro Tools. I think it's really strong at post-production. And so since to me the whole song is going to finish in Pro Tools, I just start it in Pro Tools so I can just stay in one DAW. But you could switch DAWs if you wanted to. Logic and Cubase are very reputed to be excellent with MIDI. So I'll talk a little bit about this track here in the Sins of New Wells. The song is Warehaus. And I would say that the heart of the track is this synthesizer right here. It's a Prophet 8. It's a 8-voice, 2 oscillator, David Smith Prophet 8. And I think it's a fantastic synthesizer. It's not the most popular of the Dave Smith synths, but I think a lot of them use the Rev 2 or the Prophet 5 or Prophet 10. But I think this is also a really good one. And that's pretty much the heart of it. All these tracks here in purple are this Dave Smith. And then after that, everything else is MIDI. So there's only a few parts, but core instruments that are an outboard synthesizer. Sounds like this. It's not in stereo. I have yet to completely get my setup for recording YouTube videos. So that's what's up. And at the very beginning, in stereo, sounds like this. Just pretty much a pulse wave. And I think the synthesizer does pulses pretty well. It's pretty cool. Other tracks in this song that use the synth are this little cascading melody part. And then again here at the end, I have a bit of a I think it's a pulse string type thing. Also this Dave Smith Prophet 8. So definitely this outboard synth is the heart of the track. And on most of these tracks in The Rise of the Golden Idol, I used an outboard synthesizer, or I played bass. Bass was my instrument I studied in school, and or I played guitar. I'm probably a mediocre guitarist, but I played guitar on a lot of tracks. So the instruments that were in Rise of the Golden Idol that are outboard instruments that are not just, instruments that you'd find in your DAW or could buy for Kontakt is this Mellotron Micro, and also have a Moog Sub Fatty, which is a monophonic synth. It does leads and bass sounds quite good, and I think it's quite good at sound effects as well. I like using monophonic synths for sound effects. But I just was going to show some of the instruments that are being used. A key instrument here is this Prophet 5 from Arturia. The Arturia emulations of these classic synthesizers are really, really great. And this one sounds like this. And it's got a lot of reverb and lots of pitch modulation from this LFO. And I'm pretty certain that was just the string patch, Fahrenheit strings, and then I did probably a little bit of tweaking, and I renamed it Bradbury after the great Ray Bradbury. But this Prophet 5, what's cool about the Arturia is they let you change the polyphony, so it's up to 12 voices, so it's even more than a Prophet 10. So I think it's quite great, and I think you can make a great case. You don't have to use these outboard synthesizers. It's just what I've had. I've had this synthesizer for a long time, and when I had it, I think it sounded better than soft synths. I don't think I agree with that anymore. I think these software synthesizers from Arturia, and there's other makers that make great ones, are just as good or better now, because I can pretty much just modulate 4 things. I got the knobs are close together, so I can control the cutoff, the resonance, and the envelope, and then assign something to the mod wheel. and then assign something to Aftertouch. So maybe I could do 5 things at once, real time with 2 hands. If I added a volume pedal, I could do maybe a 6, but I don't know that my performance, I'm not the most amazing synthesizer player, so I don't know that I could actually perform 5 or 6 CC controls live in a great way. But with the soft synths, you can just automate anything you want, and that's what's happening here. The cutoff and the resonance are being automated, and the volume are being automated by the DAW. So, and these sound great. The audio resolution is really high. I think that what you have to do that's more tedious with these soft synths is you got to make them sound more messy. You've got to detune them more. You don't have accidents. Like, you can bump a knob and something cool will happen on a outboard synthesizer. It's not really going to happen like that on a soft synth. But yeah, this thing is sick, and all these Arturia synthesizers are sick. I've got another instrument that's being utilized is the CS-80, and it's here somewhere. If I can understand my own layout, sounds like this. It's right here. Right there in the left ear. This is a very famous synthesizer. It was the first polyphonic Aftertouch synth. It was made in the 70s. They're very expensive. Nowadays, we're used to having Aftertouch on everything, even instruments, classic synths that didn't even have Aftertouch are sometimes integrated with Aftertouch. So what we have at our hands now in these software synthesizers is incredible. And it's cool because to have an actual CS-80 would cost 10 or 20 grand probably, that worked, and it would take up, I have a pretty small room that I work in. It would take up a massive place in the room, and then keeping it working. And then also, honestly, I don't really understand how to work the CS-80. I'm just using a preset because it's I don't know. This is confusing to me. The Prophet 5 is a much simpler, straightforward synth to me. So anyway, CS-80 is pretty sick, and I used it a lot on this soundtrack for the whole game. It's all over the place. And I think those might be the only two Arturia soft synths in this track. There's not that much going on here. I'd say some other instruments that are being used are Spitfire clarinets. I like the Spitfire stuff. I like the sound of it. I can't say I love working with Spitfire. I wish they would be a little stronger on the technical side, but you know, whatever. It's a luxury to even be able to get 2 clarinets and get the sound quality. I've got Electric Vintage from Kontakt. It's from the collectors, or the big Kontakt bundle. It's been around a long time. It's such a great sounding guitar. Use that for electric on this one, and a lot of the songs use that. Probably for you people that paid attention, maybe you got tired of it. And yeah, so those are some other key instruments. Other things that are quite prevalent would be this piano blend. And that's just Noire piano. It's very solid piano sound. And Soniccouture's Canterbury Suitcase, which is just a Suitcase Rhodes electric piano from the 70s. Soniccouture stuff is so good. And I really like this Rhodes sound. And I was using the Rhodes and a couple of other instruments to kind of introduce some jazz elements sonically, because it's so heavily 80s tinged with the synths. And it was kind of like a, police investigation, pseudo New York City, I guess. So needed a little bit of jazz touches, not jazz musically in the sense of not jazz harmony or melodies, but sounds that are familiar, like drum set with brushes, a muted trumpet. That's just a Session Horns Pro muted trumpet. Also using this basic jazz upright from, whatever, the basic Kontakt libraries that you get. That you get so many cool instruments. A lot of times you forget to look in here. These things are great. These factory libraries, there's great stuff in these. This upright sounds pretty cool. I'm looking forward to using, I got the new one, this upright bass, but I haven't tried it yet. So that probably will be an improvement. So the upright bass with the Rhodes piano and the muted trumpet give you a little bit of a jazz color. And there's some extended harmony. I have here written in my note that it's a D flat minor 13 chord. Or that was I don't know that I used all those extensions in the track at that moment, but so it's a little bit of some jazz harmony. Yeah, that's what's up. And then I've got down here in the drums, I'm using Moonkits, Soniccouture brushes kit. It's so good. I like that they permit you to route it. So I have the routing set up for. I do all the MIDI notation here in this track, but this track is only, the way it's routed is you're only hearing the kick drum in this track, and then I got snare on its own, overheads and room on their own, all bussed down to this Moonkit bus. So super good stuff. Want to get their, I think it's called Sun Drums. I want to get that one day, but yeah, Soniccouture they make so many good instruments. I use them a lot. Talking about these drums here, something that's going on in Rise of the Golden Idol in general is the game is mixing two layers. So there's a bass layer that plays continuously, and then at certain points in the game, it adds what I called an escalation layer. So they both play simultaneously, but the escalation is muted while the player's solving the puzzle for a while. And then later, at a key moment of solution, the escalation layer is introduced. And that's basically adaptive layers. And I utilize that a lot. And one way I like to use that is with effects routing. So in this scenario, if I mute the escalation layer and we listen to this setup into this D flat minor 13 chord, there's no upright bass. The dry brushes drum set is not in the mix. All you hear is the reverb from those drums. So you get a sense of a drum fill, but you don't feel it. But later on, once the player solves a puzzle, you get to hear the upright bass plus some of the dry brushes drum kit. So there's more impact, and even in with the trumpet, you were just hearing reverb on the bass layer, but once it escalates, you get to hear more of the trumpet with some of the dry signal mixed in. So that sounds like this, just the escalation. So that's sort of how adaptive layers are being utilized. There's a main thing going on, and then lots of punctuation happens from the escalation to make it feel make things have more impact. And some other I kind of have a little bit of a funny way of laying out, I guess. Normally you would have your if you're working on a real console, you probably have all your drums on your left, and then, you know, bass and guitars and synthesizers and vocals, and then your master section, bussing, and effects. It's kind of how they're usually laid out, but I kind of like to put all my harmonic and melodic instruments at the top, the green and the blue and the purple, red, and then I have all my effects in the middle and my master section in the middle, which is kind of weird, but I do that for mixing. It's more efficient for me once I get to post-production, because I like to automate a lot of things in my auxiliaries, and so it helps me mix faster. And then I do all my drums at the bottom. Some other drum sounds that are going on for the orchestral drums, it's pretty much just damage, you know. Everyone uses these samples. They sound great. I've got bass drums on their own. I have one instance of Kontakt here running all the damage, but several instances of damage. And that's just for routing, so I can have independent mixing of concert bass drums, concert snares, concert cymbals. So they're all separated. And then circular bells, CinePerc, more, you know, just very reliable orchestral percussion. So they're all isolated here in these tracks in orange, plus a timpani, which I have in a different instance of Kontakt. There is some electronic drums from this battery instance here. Got a 808, very reverb, it's kind of a rim shot snare, and this tambourine stem and sleigh bells. These are both samples I made from instruments I have. Actually, the tambourine stem is a sample I made many years ago. And the sleigh bells I made just for this song. So that's what's going on in battery. And that's pretty much it. There's not like 1 million instruments. I do have a tendency to put a lot of instruments in tracks sometimes, and this one is a little bit simpler, and probably why one is one of the better sounding ones. I usually, the simpler you can make a track, the better it sounds, and the easier it is to mix, more impactful it is. So that's what's going on in this track here. And, you know, I don't know why exactly I decided to start making a YouTube channel, but not as many game composers are working in Pro Tools, and I thought maybe I could show later on how I get it to work, since, you know, the MIDI in Pro Tools is not always considered to be so strong, but I find it to be quite usable. And yeah, so maybe I can, for anyone out there who is actually composing in Pro Tools with MIDI, maybe some of this stuff will be helpful. And for fans of the game, maybe it'd be interesting for some of you to hear what were the components of these tracks. And yeah, so appreciate your time.